Hello, everyone. Welcome to this digital platform and exciting times. Medical devices, we do think is the next big story in the manufacturing sphere after IT, pharma, mobile phones, and toy industry. There is a huge imports that are taking place for medical devices. It's definitely a problem, but it's also an opportunity. At IMED, we represent more than 400 manufacturer members and more than 250 associate members. We represent the interest of more than 1,500 manufacturers for medical devices in the country. And this covers various segments, whether consumables or disposables, electronics and equipments, implants, and surgical instruments and IVD reagents. The imports of medical devices have gone up by more than double in the last 5 years. And the ratios interestingly remain the same, as you can see in this pie chart. The percentage of the various segments within the increased market share as well as in the increased import basket has not changed much. This is the year-on-year increase, which is definitely of concern for everybody. A 41% increase over last year's imports does not augur well for us. Especially the imports from China, where you can see the imports have gone up from nearly 9,000 crore rupees last year to more than 13,500 crore rupees this year. And of USA, which have went up from nearly 7,000 crore rupees to more than 10,000 crore rupees this year. These are the imports of the last 5 years. And this is definitely of concern to all of us. However, on the export side, there is some good news. On the export side, the exports have gone up by nearly double over the last 5 years. The pie chart and the shares of the various components in the basket interestingly remain the same. So electronics and equipments, while we import a lot, we also export a lot. And the biggest chunk, of course, is in consumables and disposables. This is the exports over the last 5 years. And we had a healthy 26% growth over the previous year from nearly 20,000 crore rupees to nearly 24,000 crore rupees in 2022. In medical devices, in the various segments, we do have certain success stories. Even though the policy framework doesn't support manufacturing much, and manufacturers and traders prefer to import because it's more convenient, there are some brave souls who have decided to fight it out and have been able to grow and break the barriers and challenges in front of them and have been able to succeed. So you do have success stories of domestic champions. In the case of disposables, you've got companies like HMD, which is my company, in syringes and medical devices. In the case of syringes, needles, and IV cannulas, you got medical electrodes, very strong in the case of electrodes for ECGs. Kanam Latex is India's largest manufacturer for gloves. G Surgyware, one of the largest manufacturers in the world for shunts. Also strong in the area of surgical drapes. MRK, again, a strong player in the case of gloves. In consumables, you got Romson and Polymedicure and IV and other blood-related and surgical disposable single-use plastic items. Healthium in sutures, DL Life Sciences in kits for coronary care, Dynor for assistive devices and orthopedic rehabilitation products at Mohali near Chandigarh. Electronics, we've seen success stories of Trivitron and Ellingers and BPL in the case of X-ray equipment, monitors, etc. And also ventilators by BPL and Scanray, as well as OT-related cath labs for Ellingers and IITPL, and coronary care products from Schiller, which is a Swiss company making the manufacturing in Chennai. On the equipment side, we've seen success stories of Midmark a French company who had taken over Janak in Bombay, making hospital beds. Remy in Bombay making blood management products for storage and transportation. Panacea is a company to watch out for. They are making oncology related products, linear accelerators and high-end technology products and complete systems. And Shivani and Phoenix in the area of incubators for babies. Implants, India is again doing very well. Whether it's coronary implants where SMT, Merrill and Translumin are doing exceedingly well, or in the case of intraocular lens, where India is again amongst the top 10 in the world, and Apaswamy, Orolab, and Arvind are leading the foray. In the case of orthopedic implants, you got success stories like Biorad, Pitkar, Oxine, etc., who are doing exceedingly well internationally and in India. In the case of diagnostics, COVID did provide the focus, and both in terms of instrumentation and in IVD reagents, you got very successful stories like TransAsia, who's possibly the largest manufacturer for medical devices, including IVD in India, followed closely by Trivetron and by Merrill. Agape is again strong in the case of diagnostics instrumentation, and Mitra Industries is one of the pioneers in this area in the Delhi region. In the case of instrumentation, you got ASCO for OT theaters, Allen Electronics for cautery products, HMD for surgical plates, top 3 in the world. Quality Needles, the largest manufacturer for suture needles in the world, and Endomet Technologies for endoscopy products. COVID showed the pros and the dynamism from Indian entrepreneurs when even non-medical device manufacturers came into manufacturing of medical devices. Sky blue was the number of manufacturers in the COVID critical devices prior to COVID, and the dark blue indicates the number of manufacturers who came into being after March of 2020. You can see the steep increase of the dark blue items. Unfortunately, we can also see a shrinkage of the dark blue. So we can only hope that the people who ventured into making medical devices will feel motivated to continue to stay over here. Over the last 3-5 years, we've seen a lot of success stories in the case of policies and making achievements. The principal scientific advisor to the Prime Minister patronized the creation of Kalam Institute of Healthcare Technologies at Visakhapatnam, housed at Andhra MedTech Zone. And this is helping to commercialize not only the various patents that were lying and catching dust as scientific papers in various IITs and ISCs, but also helping to provide the skill set and the knowledge for providing the various project reports as well as advisories to the government. DST played an exemplary role and DBT too, with the creation of incubating centers like Bio Valley, Medi Valley in Andhra MedTech Zone, C Camp in Bangalore, Venture Center in Pune, and IKP in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Quality Council of India helped by creating the Indian certification for medical devices, which was sought by Indian manufacturers and by IMED, so that we could prove our quality to Indian doctors and overseas buyers. The government also came out with medical device rules 2017, which are harmonized to medical device regulations internationally and will help to create infrastructure, manufacturing capacities and capabilities, and discipline manufacturers to follow rules for addressing patient safety concerns in India and internationally. NPPA came out with price caps for stents and knee implants, and this not only helped the consumers but also helped the manufacturers in India as the buyers moved from buying based on trade margins and inducements to review procurement from Indian companies and their competitors based on quality and price. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, in a very competitive mood, came out with medtech parks at Visakhapatnam and Hyderabad, and in the last 4 years, they are growing extremely well. AMTZ, QCI, and IMED also came out with the Indian Biomedical Skill Development Council initiative and certification from this council is helping to bring forward not only mapping of competency, but also of providing skilled manpower to both manufacturers and service providers and to users of equipment. The DPATT public procurement order and the guidelines from DOP helps manufacturers because now buyers are seeking more and more products from those companies who've got at least a 50% domestic content and are not pseudo suppliers or pseudo manufacturers taking the product in the country. A move by DOP to increase duty by providing a 5% surcharge on some of the medical devices has also helped to give some protection to the recent investors for medical devices. And DOP's recent schemes to support medtech parks in various states and the PLI scheme is definitely well worthy of mention over here. IMID along with Invest India are seeking to bring in investment and reaching out to various manufacturers worldwide. And we seek technical collaborations. We think that we can target 1,200 of these. And with that of a 40 crore rupee pocket size, we can possibly bring in about $6 billion worth of investments into India. And for those overseas manufacturers who don't only want to give their technology to Indian buyers and make money on royalties, but they also want to profit by investing over here, they can consider creating joint ventures with Indian companies. And these larger factories of say about 80 crore rupees or 100 crore rupees can bring in about $2 billion worth of investments from 200 such joint ventures. Invest India and DOP are also quoting MNCs, and hopefully of the large MNCs, nearly 50 of them can possibly come in with a ticket size of projects of about 300 crore rupees and bring in around $42 billion worth of investments. So we do think there's an investment opportunity of more than 80,000 crore rupees for this large market of 1.6 lakh crore rupees. And going forward, this will help to not only do import substitution, but export from India as India becomes a globally competitive player. We've also been seeking from the government a strategic nominal tariff barriers to address the 12 to 50% disability factor, which both Niti Aayog and DOP have indicated on account of infrastructure development or lack of it, as well as on higher power costs and higher capital costs. We have suggested to correct the imported duty structure by having duties of 2.5% on raw materials, 5% on components, 7.5% on consumables like grinding wheels and chemicals and polishing media, which will be used on components and enhance their properties to assemble products. And these assembled medical devices could possibly be having a duty of 10 to 15%, whereas WTO permits duties of even as high as 40%. With this, we can say that the disability factor would be addressed considerably, and the investment from overseas manufacturers and Indian investors will also be protected so that manufacturing becomes more attractive. Finally, the government needs to make sure that instead of trading and imports becoming just convenient, actually manufacturing needs to be a rewarding experience. And we don't seek subsidies for that. What we do seek is a separate medical device law, which is decriminalized on the lines of FSSAI. We do seek that government will coordinate with various manufacturers and larger players to provide raw materials and indigenous availability of components and sensors. Medical colleges will help in conducting clinical studies, doing health technology assessments, benchmarking performance so that we can prove the quality of Indian-made products is competitive to the imported ones. Help us reduce our capex by having shared capex, by sharing the infrastructure and the testing infrastructure costs at a cluster level, whether it is a national cluster like at the Delhi NCR or the Bombay Pune belt or at the Surat Ahmedabad belt, or in case of medtech parks coming up as structured clusters. We also hope that the government will help to reduce OPEX by easing cash flow by making sure that payments by government supplies and buyers will be on time. The Parliament has also recommended that the government needs to consider revamping the PLI scheme. And we hope that, like the mobile phone industry, the government considers creating domestic champions and widens the scope of the scheme to include raw materials, components, and other medical electronics and medical devices beyond what has been initially announced. Even the preferential procurement order needs to be slightly tweaked so that instead of the lowest price L1 basis, government incentivizes quality certification, and that's given marks and endorsement in the procurement process in an objective manner. The Parliament has also recommended and supported IMED's request to create a department for medical devices and to man this suitably so that the experts are available both in terms of branding, regulatory support, development support, and coordination with various ministries and regulators. We do look forward to an evolving Make in India story and to become the second factory in the world and a leading source of medical devices worldwide. Thank you. We've seen that in COVID times, mountains have been moved by teamwork, and there is no reason why, now that peacetime has come and the war is over, mountains continue to be moved by teamwork. Feel free to write to us at IMED. My email ID is mentioned here, and we look forward to communicating with you. Wish you all the best at this event and a successful exhibition and a successful participation and knowledge sharing at the various presentations made over here. Thank you and bye.